So, chess has been on the minds of Indians with all the big wins that have been happening all around us with Gukesh and all the fantastic players from Chennai. I want to ask you about your journey. You started chess at a very young age of 7. What drew you first to the game?
Yes, when I was 7, basically I had no interest towards the game. It was all my mom's. I used to watch television like 3-4 hours a day, and my mom just wanted me to do something productive. So she brought in chess.
Can you share like a defining moment in your chess career that made you realize that it was more than just a hobby for you?
One mind shift that I had was the first tournament that I played as Delhi State, and I just came second and qualified for the national. I had no idea about it before, but then suddenly I was this person who had been selected to go to the national, and then I realized that I actually had potential for this game.
Is there a particular chess player whose playing style you really admire or try to emulate?
Magnus Carlsen, any day Magnus Carlsen. He's just phenomenal.
Do tell us a little about the different levels and how does that work?
So you need to attain a minimum rating first, which starts from 1,000, and the highest ever achieved has been 2,800.
Which has been your favorite win, of all the matches that you've played? What's that one win that you cherish the most?
I was playing with Nomkin Igor. He is a Russian grandmaster. So one, he was a Russian, and two, he's a grandmaster. It always gets you into this nervous aspect of, oh my god, you're going to lose.
Welcome to today's episode of Raising an Athlete, where we are diving into the exciting world of chess. Indian chess has seen an extraordinary rise on the global stage. There's been a new wave of Indian talent coming from Chennai, which has long been the chess capital of India. But today, we are shifting our focus to a different story. While Chennai may dominate headlines, not every chess talent comes from such an established ecosystem. Today, we're speaking with someone who has navigated these challenges and emerged as one of the most promising chess talents. Our guest is Shivika Rohila, a 17-year-old international chess player who has been making waves with her extraordinary performance. Currently ranked 4th in India, 10th in Asia, and 93rd in the world in the under-16 girls category, Shivika's accomplishments are truly remarkable. She recently clenched silver medals in blitz and classical chess at the Western Asia Youth Chess Championship and gold in the team event. And while her chess career is soaring, she is also excelling academically and dreams of becoming an aeronautical engineer. In today's conversation, we will explore Shivika's journey, learn from her how a beginner aspiring to be in chess can get started, what are the skill sets required, and how does she balance the demands of chess with her academic goals. Whether you're a chess enthusiast, an aspiring athlete, or simply someone looking for inspiration, there's a lot to take from this episode. So let's get started. Lovely. So chess has been on the minds of Indians with all the big wins that have been happening all around us with Gukesh and all the fantastic players from Chennai. I want to ask you about your journey. You started chess at a very young age of 7. What drew you first to the game?
Yes, when I was 7, basically I had no interest towards the game. It was all my mom's. I used to watch television like 3-4 hours a day, and my mom just wanted me to do something productive. So she brought in chess, and over the years I've just come to love the game and make this a part of my life. And now I just can't live without it. It's become that way from there on.
What would have been the prompt for chess? I mean, it could have been any sport. What was the prompt for your mom to get you into chess? Were your parents playing chess? Was there someone around you who was interested?
No, not really. She just wanted me to do something that engaged my mind, because when I was younger, I always used to have this exceptional interest towards maths. So she thought, why not do something that's related to it? And chess and maths are quite similar. That's why
Got it. So you're 17 now, you're in grade 12, and it's already been a decade for you playing the game. Do share with our listeners what your journey has been like, what have been your highs and lows in the decade that has gone by.
It has been nerve-wracking, extremely hard, but mostly enjoyable because the highs and lows they keep happening, but the journey is what matters. And even if I haven't reached my goals that I should have reached yet, I'm still satisfied with what I have achieved.
Can you share like a defining moment in your chess career that made you realize that it was more than just a hobby for you?
Well, like in the beginning of the game, the one mind shift that I had was the first tournament that I played as Delhi State. And I just came second and qualified for the national. I had no idea about it before, but then suddenly I was this person who had been selected to go to the national, and then I realized that I actually had potential for this game.
So like they say, nothing succeeds like success. It's the first taste of success that made you realize that this is something that you would probably like to pursue further.
Yeah.
Great. Is there a particular chess player whose playing style you really like, admire or try to emulate?
Magnus Carlsen, any day Magnus Carlsen. He's just phenomenal.
Can you share a little about his style?
His playing style is quite aggressive, but at the same time very smooth and elegant. Like you won't even realize that he's won the game, like just without any mistakes and errors whatsoever.
And from the Indian system, are there any players that you really admire?
Yes, Gukesh, because his playing style is impeccable. He just makes no mistakes on the board and wins easily.
How is it different from Magnus' style?
Magnus is more aggressive, but I think Gukesh is more calm in that manner.
Lovely. Tell us, Shrivika, I'm going to ask you a few questions to understand. There are a lot of people who want their kids to play chess. There are a lot of children, who are now inspired by the success you read in newspaper about, some of these role models that have emerged, and they want to pursue chess. What do you consider to be the most important skills that a player needs to develop in order to succeed in chess?
Memory is quite important, that how you train your memory and your brain, and even the amount of practice that you do. You really need to work hard if you want to succeed in anything, even if that's chess. So a basic dedication and memory you are supposed to have to play chess. It's basic.
Okay. And for young players or beginners looking to get serious about chess, how important is it for them to find a good coach early on?
I think a good coach can guide you properly and make you avoid all the mistakes that some players do at the initial stages. Finding the right coach is the most important thing, I believe.
Right.
Because a good coach can basically reform your journey into completely something different.
Right. And online chess training, in fact, has become very popular. So in your experience, how does online training differ from, let's say, physical face-to-face coaching?
Honestly, I come from the place where when I started, there was no online training. It's just face-to-face. And so I find the offline thing better. Like any day I would choose the offline over the online thing, because you don't get the feel of the game when you're seeing it on the screen. The face-to-face aspect of the game, I think, is very important. I think it makes the player more serious also towards the game.
But for someone who may be in a city where there may not be too many coaches available, can online chess training be a starting point for them?
I think when the only choice is online aspect, you can definitely go for it. You can still learn, you can still develop the skills while doing online. It's just I prefer the offline.
So you feel that after a certain stage, you will need a coach to physically guide you through the process?
Yes, I definitely believe that.
Okay, because many players now rely on online platforms like chess.com. Are there any risks or limitations that people should be aware of when they're using a platform like that?
I don't think there's any risk when using an online platform to play chess or learn chess, especially like chess.com. It can be very informative and sometimes indeed very helpful for solving puzzles and tactics. If you don't have access to books, it has inbuilt puzzles which are different, and there are daily puzzles that you can practice. So I think it's more helpful than risky.
Right. So, do share, Shivika, how do you go about finding a good coach and what are the qualities you should be looking when searching for a chess coach?
I think when you're in a city, you should find a good academy. There you can find good coaches because an academy is a hub of chess. There you'll find a beginner coach, an intermediate coach, and an advanced coach. So then, according to your own level, if you're a beginner, if you're just starting out, you can try the beginner coach first. And as you grow, then you can succeed and change the coaches as well.
Right. And for someone who's just starting out, how do they know if they have the potential to become like really good at chess? Are there like early signs or any indicators that someone might have the knack for?
I think once you start playing, and if you have an inert liking for the game, without any force or pressure from other people, then you're like, if you really love the game and you feel that yes, I can do better at this, and you can easily solve the puzzles and grasp the concepts that the coach is teaching you, I think then you're made for the game, because that doesn't happen very easily.
Right. But that must be a journey too, because initially with any skill or any sport that you learn, it takes effort. It's not going to be, nothing is enjoyable right in the beginning, right? It takes you a certain skill level.
Definitely.
So is there a specific age or stage in a player's journey where it becomes clear that they have the potential to play chess at a competitive stage?
I think if you start at like a very early age, like 4 or 5, and by the time you're 9 or 10, you've crossed the 2000 bar, then I think you're exceptional in chess. Even when you're like in your 11 or 12, it's different for guys and for girls, because if you're 12 and you don't have a title yet and you're a guy, I think it's difficult for you to succeed in chess.
Okay.
But for girls, it's a little different because there's less competition. So by the time if you're 12, you've crossed the 2000 barrier, I think you're made for chess.
Okay. Do tell us a little about the different levels and how does that work?
Okay. So you basically start as a beginner where you have no rating. So you need to attain a minimum rating first, which starts from 1000, and the highest ever achieved has been 2800. So first you have a beginner. Then as you succeed and cross the 2200 bar, then you can apply to become a FIDE master or a women FIDE master. And to get the other title, you have to score norms and succeed a rating mark. So to become an IM, you have to cross the 2400 rating barrier and have 3 IMs.
Okay.
And to become a grandmaster, you have to get a minimum 2500 rating and get 3 GM.
Okay. And how have you been on this journey?
I am en route to become a Women International Master soon, because I have a norm first and I just need to cross the rating.
Okay, lovely. So, Shivika, I also want to bring in the aspect of Chennai being the cradle for so many top chess players. They've been making headlines with their incredible performances. What do you think has contributed to the chess revolution, especially in Chennai?
Chennai is the hub of chess. Like every corner you'll see someone playing chess. Chess is a part of their daily life, and it's so different from how it's in other aspects of India. I think that really helps to transform the game. That's why it has caused a revolution in chess, and most chess players you see are from Chennai only.
Right. So you feel that because it's part of the culture of the city, because they play recreationally, that has actually helped in creating players of the high caliber. Do you feel there's a gap in terms of opportunities for players in cities like Delhi compared to those in Chennai? And what are those gaps?
I firmly believe that there is a wide gap in how chess is in Chennai and how is it in Delhi or another part of India. Because Chennai, there are many academies where you can go and practice without playing in tournaments, and every other day you'll see some tournament happening over there, some camp, some chess thing happening over there. But in Delhi, you'll never see anything happening very frequently. It happens, it still does, like there are camps and there are tournaments, but not as the ones in Chennai.
Right. So there's a gap of competitions and the ability to have players across against whom you can kind of test your caliber. So how can like aspiring players in cities without a strong chess culture overcome these obstacles?
It's not going to be easy, but you can still do it if you're in a central part of India. Like me, for example, I'm in Delhi, but I still try to play as much as I can and all the tournaments that I have nearby so that I can get as much practice as I can. Because the most important aspect is to get on the board practice. And that you can only get while playing in as many tournaments as you can.
Right, so it will mean a lot more initiative on your part to kind of go scouting for opportunities of competitions locally, nationally, on other platforms. Do share, Shivika, how have you and your family worked around these challenges to continue improving your game and competing despite, such a lack of strong chess infrastructure in Delhi?
When I started, like approximately 10 years back, there used to be next to no tournaments here. Like very few. There was just your usual state, your nationals, and one or two federated events. But now it has definitely improved. But then I had to look for other opportunities, like different parts of India which you have not even like heard before. Sometimes it was in some place where you were like, even this place existed, I didn't even know before I had to play the tournament over there. We have traveled to different parts of the world, various weird part of the world, because we had to go and play a tournament over there. Just because there are more opportunities.
Right. And you've also, with your parents, seeded an academy in Delhi. Can you share a little more about the academy and, what are the goals, objectives? What are you trying to do with that?
Yes. Recently, we opened this academy. It's in my name, Shivika Rohila Chess Academy, where we don't want the players to face the same challenges that I had to face while I was playing and trying to improve. We want to provide the players with a platform where they can play, and the club culture that used to exist, like something that's in Chennai where you can come and play and learn at the same time. So we are helping the players to cultivate and grow through more practice and providing them with premium opportunities that I couldn't get when I was that age.
Right, wonderful. So for all those listeners listening in from Delhi and interested in chess, you can definitely look up the Shivika Rohila Chess Academy and earn opportunities to train and compete in chess. I'm going to just change the gears a little bit and understand for those who may already be playing. So chess requires also a lot of mental stamina. So how do you mentally prepare for a match, especially when it's a long and challenging one?
Like mental stamina is as important as your physical stamina, because without either one you can definitely not play the game. I have a set routine that I do before my matches to help me while I'm playing. So I have like this meditation routine before my match and even during the match that I do every time that I'm playing the game.
Okay, so right before you game, you have a meditation routine that you do. Okay.
Yes.
And I think you already said about the importance of memory in chess. Do players have to memorize a lot of moves or positions, or is it more about intuition and practice?
I don't think it's more about memorizing but understanding, because once you understand a move or a concept, then you automatically memorize it. It just feeds into your memory if you have understood it well.
Got it. So do walk us through what a typical training day looks like for you. How much of it is spent studying tactics and versus just playing games?
On a usual basis, as I study chess for 7 hours. So the first hours in the day, like 3 hours, I'll completely devote to tactics, starting from the easy ones to the hard ones. So easy, medium, and hard. But first 3 hours of the day have to be tactics. The rest of them, 2 hours, I study the openings, because I believe openings are also an essential part of the game, at least at my level. And at the end of the day, I focus on the end game part. because having a good end game is the key to succeed and win in the game.
So you said that you spend 7 hours studying chess, which made me wonder, how do you manage between schoolwork and chess practice? Like, how does your day pan like? Just take us through a typical day for you.
Like a regular day in my life looks chaotic, but I somehow try and find time for myself as well. So I block my time where this particular time I have to study, and the rest of the time I'll do chess. So like I start with doing 3 hours of tactics, then I'll take a small break and then study maybe 3 hours physics and then get on to chess again. Then I'll take a long break so that I can finally have a peace of mind, and then I'll study again for like a bit, and then I'll do chess. So like the last part of my day has to be chess, because that's something I don't see it as doing some work, but it just makes me happier.
Yeah, so that's great when you enjoy something, it's not a strain. And one also hears that playing chess actually helps. Like, this is one sport which actually helps in your academic pursuits, because, it gives you all those skills from memory to strategy to, that you can apply in your academics too. But at the same time, I wonder that does it cause mental strain? Like, is it mentally exhausting doing both, focusing equally on both? Because in your case specifically, you're highly academically inclined to it. In fact, I read that you're interested in pursuing aeronautical engineering. So how does that work?
I think when you love something enough, you just find the time for it, and even though it's exhausting, you have this feeling that you don't want to give up. And I think that's the feeling that keeps you going. I love physics and I love chess. I can't leave either. And that's just not an option for me. So that thing that I don't want to give up and I want to continue going in spite of the strain, in spite of whatever I face, I think that's very key, the dedication and the perseverance towards your goal.
Right. With all the travel, you mentioned you have to travel internationally for the tournaments that you do. So how do you stay organized with your schoolwork and make sure that you kind of, don't fall behind? Is there a specific routine or system for keeping both your academics and chess, in place?
I tend to work smarter around my studies instead of harder. So like when people would be doing all the questions and all the problems that are supposed to be solved, I try to focus on the past year questions and more on the sample papers, so that I'm more prepared to give my exams. And I try to understand one concept properly instead of just doing and completing the syllabus and mugging up everything.
Right, lovely. So you bring strategy from chess into strategy in
Yes.
studying as well. Okay. Do share what's your approach to handling high pressure matches? Do you have any rituals or routines before you sit down at the board?
As I mentioned, my whole meditation routine that starts from the moment I'm in my room, the moment I'm going and starting my game. So I have a few deep breathing techniques that I do before leaving for the venue. And once I'm on the board, I have this as that I sip some water, go around a bit, see the venue, and then sit on my board and then do the breathing techniques again. And when I'm about to play my first move, my mind is basically just focused on the game.
Right. And these techniques that you talk about, from breathing to meditation, is that something that you got introduced through your coach, or did you take help of a sports psychologist? How did that happen?
I took help from a sports psychologist. I think that's a very necessary aspect of the game which is not talked about much. Because otherwise the game can be so exhausting, and sometimes it will just make you lose. If you're like playing and playing and playing and it keeps getting so exhausting, I think you need a little of grounding techniques and someone there to support you.
Right. So how has sports psychology helped you the most?
I think while introducing me to these grounding techniques and these deep breathing techniques and defining this whole ritual, I think it's helped me that way.
So you follow these coping strategies, but if you find yourself in a very difficult position on the board, do these help or is this, how do you make sure that you stay calm and you don't get overwhelmed by the pressure?
You have to train your mind to be in that situation and then stimulate that thing when you're practicing, so that when you face it during the game, you're not baffled by it. So that's where I think sports psychology comes in as well, because I've trained my mind that way, that when I face a difficult situation where I am getting tense, at that moment I know how to ground myself and I know how to focus on the game. That I do in my practice sessions as well.
Right. And at a young age only, you would have probably played against much bigger opponents. What is the role of self-confidence in chess? Because it's so easy to get kind of overwhelmed by the credentials of the player who's sitting opposite to you. How do you kind of maintain a positive mindset, and even after, let's say, you have made a mistake against a big opponent?
I think it's definitely that you get nervous, you get a little excited as well, and sometimes your self-confidence will be a bit baffled too. But I think the strength to believe in yourself and to believe in your preparation is the most important thing. And if you're prepared, then you must believe in yourself. That confidence automatically comes in when you're solving so many puzzles and you're preparing against the opponent. And one thing that I like to do is I just see the name of my opponent, my table, and how he's playing. I never see the rating or the title of the opponent, because when you have that rating aspect, then you automatically start to think that that player might be better than you.
That's a great point you make. So you don't actually get into the nitty-gritties of what the rating might be. You're just looking at as a competitor on the other side. Also share, Shivika, I think it would be interesting to know from your perspective, which has been your favorite win, of all the matches that you've played. What's that one win that you cherish the most?
I was playing in Budapest, and that was the first time I won from a grandmaster. And that day, I think, was the happiest day of my life. Like, the first time that you beat a grandmaster, like, you don't know what's happening around you. It's just a feeling of ecstasy. I think it would be better when I had become a grandmaster myself. But now, I think that was the most enjoyable win that I had. And I was so nervous for that game. But when I played, and the moment my player resigned, that feeling, I can't reciprocate it. I can't get it again. It's just impeccable.
Right. So do share about that episode. Who were you playing against? How old were you? And what was the game like?
I was playing with Nomkin Igor. He is a Russian grandmaster. So one, he was a Russian, and two, he's a grandmaster. It always gets you into this nervous aspect of, oh my god, you're going to lose. But I somehow managed to make my mind calm, do all the breathing techniques. And the moment I went into the game, I was just with one thing, that today I'm going to play my best and I'm just going to follow my plan. And the rest of the thing, it just happened by all itself.
Fantastic. So you kept your nerves and that held you in good stead.
Yes.
Okay. Shivika, also tell, apart from chess or academics, how do you unwind or relax after like a long day of studying or competing? Do you have any go-to activities for recharging yourself?
Yes, definitely. I think recharging is very important, because when you're playing a game like chess, which is mentally draining, and studying all day long, you need something to ground you as well. And for me, that is music and art. So I play the violin, and I love to paint, and I love spending time with my family and my friends. I think that's a very important thing. I have Sundays to myself where I do all this. Like, Sunday is the day I take a break from studies or chess. One day I need for myself as well.
Right. So this is your year of board exams. Are there any big tournaments that are coming up this year? Because what I want to understand is, if there is a clash that happens between the two, how do you kind of balance that out?
I am planning to play a tournament in November, but after that I won't be playing any tournaments, because I think these boards are a defining moment in my life and I need to focus on that. So I'll be prioritizing on this. After that, I'll be taking a gap year to focus more on chess. So when I'm focusing on studies, I'll just focus there.
Okay. And do share what's next on your chess journey. What are the goals that you have set for yourself that you're particularly excited about?
I hope to become a women international master soon, and that's my short-term goal. My long-term goal is to become a grandmaster.
Fantastic. So we wish you all the very best on your journey. Any final words of advice or something from your own experience for parents who may be listening in, or for children who want to get into chess? Anything that you want to share from your experience?
I think a person should pursue their passion, and if that's chess, you should definitely go into the game and not be scared that if it seems hard or the goal seems unattainable. I think if you keep working hard and you're dedicated towards your goals, then there is nothing that can stop you from achieving it.
Lovely. So thanks so much, Shivika, for sharing all your experiences. All the very best for your board exams and for your chess journey. You're currently ranked number 4th in India, and many great rankings internationally too. And I do wish that you keep going up. And apart from Chennai, we also see players from other parts of India making a mark.
Thank you.